Bobby was short steps from the trouble, running wide open when the Archangel broke his silence. The long-awaited time is come. He pointed his bright sword at a point between Bobby and the man with the club and said, "In the name of him who sits on the throne and for the Lamb, go there and turn the tide of evil." Bobby, barely slowing when he got to the confrontation, tripped over thin air and rammed the business end of the bat hard into the man's back. The man lurched forward, stumbled over the boy Junior had knocked to the ground, and sprawled on top of him. Knocking the man down wasn't what he'd planned, but Bobby knew better than to back off from a pack of bullies. He was talking before the man rolled over. "You keep your hands to yourself, mister." The red-faced man struggled to get up, cussing and pointing the club at Bobby. "Son, when a boy hits me, he steps over the line to manhood. That means you'll get the same beating I'll be giving this nigger." On the Parker place, Negro folks were called black or colored. For the children, transgression of that rule meant someone was going to get his mouth washed out with soap. Missy and Junior froze when the man said the forbidden word. Bobby didn't. When Bobby squared his stance and drew back the bat, the man rethought his position. "You better put that down, boy." Bobby was only 12, but he knew serious trouble when he saw it, and he was the one holding the bat. "I reckon not." He and Junior and Missy had made a law about standing up for each other, and these strangers had chosen to be their enemies. If the man made a threatening move, Bobby was going to swing for his head and deal with the consequences later. "You're on Parker land, mister, and you best be getting off." The baseball bat had the man stymied. Exertion and frustration soaked his collar with sweat. "This isn't your land. It's a public road." Bobby said, "That might be, but the land on both sides of the road belongs to the Parkers, and that's us." He looked the man up and down. "You ain't from around here, are you?" The man's wide mouth and thick lips were not unlike those of a bullfrog. Small, widely spaced teeth and flesh-draped eyelids contributed to his reptilian appearance. "What if I'm not?" Bobby cracked a hard smile. "'Cause if you was from around here, folks would have told you not to mess with the Parker kids. That's us, especially the black un and the girl." He pointed the bat at Junior and Missy. "That's them two." From within the car, a woman's voice said, "Let it go, Halbert. Don't be getting heated up over some white trash." When the woman called them white trash, Missy puffed up and started for the car. Junior grabbed the strap of her overalls again. "Stay quiet, Missy." The girl jerked loose and glared at Junior, but she stayed where she was. The tallest boy got into the car, holding a hand to his bloody nose. The other two weren't ready to leave. The man looked at the car and back at Bobby. He didn't want to leave either, but he wasn't going to argue with the woman. "Get in the car, boys." His tongue came out and made a circuit over his fat lips. He let his gaze rest too long on the girl, and he spoke to her last. "You'll get yours, little Miss Blue Eyes. Just you remember Hal Bainbridge said so." The woman in the car leaned across the seat. Facial features that had been cast to portray beauty were twisted into an angry mask. "Halbert," she snapped, "I told you to shut up and get in the car." The two smallest boys were the last ones to climb in. The one who had pushed Missy said, "I'll be back." Missy made a face. When the Bainbridge family withdrew, a creature that had been traveling with them stayed behind. The being that remained on the Cat Lake Bridge had been working his vile mischief in the Bainbridges' lives for years. His brief observation of Missy Parker, however, ignited a hatred that far exceeded anything he had ever felt toward Estelle Bainbridge. He petitioned his leader, the high-ranking villain who was assigned to the Bainbridges, to let him stay at Cat Lake and work his evil on the girl and those around her. The one to whom he answered hated to grant any request that might strengthen the position of a subordinate, but he hated humans more. So it was that the malevolent being stayed behind while his former superior and dozens of their kind moved away with the Bainbridges. The spirit being essayed his intended victim and was encouraged by what he saw. The girl was self-willed, self-centered, and self-confident, all traits that made her more susceptible to his influence. Early pieces of his plan were arranging themselves before the Bainbridges' car was out of sight. He would recruit his own team of underlings from the demonic realm. When he and his chosen confederates were in place, he would formulate a plan to destroy the girl's life, maybe in bits and pieces over the coming years, maybe catastrophically in a single day. There might even be a way to use the Bainbridges to help bring her to ruin. And if the opportunity presented itself, he would do the same to the two meddlesome boys. When the car was moving down the road, Bobby turned on Missy. "You can't be starting fights with boys bigger'n you."
"I didn't start it. He did."
Bobby watched the car. "Well, don't be messing with folks like that. That man had something wrong with him, like he was mean or evil or something."
"I ain't scared of the boogeyman."
"I don't mean like that. I mean grown men who stare at little girls like that. Stay away from 'em." He watched the car disappear behind a curtain of dust. "And if that bunch comes around here again, you head for Mia Jr., you hear me?" The girl directed her wrath at her brother.
"You're not my boss, Mr. Bobby Parker, and I'll have you know I ain't a little girl."
Bobby was still learning that he needed to tell Missy to do exactly the opposite of what he wanted done, but he knew who carried the most influence over her.
"Tell her, Junior."
Junior picked up the ball and offered it to the girl.
"Do like he says, Missy. A growed man that speak bad to somebody not as big as him has got something wrong inside him. That man had a devil in him."
She turned her back on the ball because she wouldn't be bribed.
"Well, if an evil man shows up again and I can't whip him by myself, y'all can help."
The boys took that as a concession and followed her back to their baseball field. Amanda Allen Parker was the first girl born into the Parker family since the surrender. Maybe they had spoiled her, or maybe she knew she was special. Whatever the cause, Missy Parker was a young lady who didn't just give orders, she laid down the law for those who drew near. When they didn't call her Missy, everybody on the Parker place and most people in town just referred to her as the girl. The petite picture of brown-haired Southern charm endured the company of women when she had to, but she preferred the attention of the males of her domain. The old Parkers and the young Parkers lived out south of town in two nice houses set back from the west side of Cat Lake. They got good shade from a stand of oaks planted by their ancestors and the cool of a lake breeze when the wind was right. Bobby Lee Parker ran the Parker Gin. Young Bobby looked as if he had been spit out of his daddy's mouth. Young Mrs. Parker played bridge, went to the garden club and missionary society, and tended her yard. Old Mr. Parker farmed 10 sections of cotton land, played dominoes, drank coffee, and visited with his friends. Old Mrs. Parker, the genetic source of the girl's Spitfire personality, stayed close to home and baked things. The Washington family, Mose, his wife Pip, Mose Jr., and little Pearl, lived across the lake from the Parkers. Their home was set back in a stand of pecan trees planted by the same hands that put down the Parkers' oaks. Mose had been born in the cabin and inherited the house and 40 acres of good sandy land from Pap, his great-granddaddy. Back behind the cabin, a full section of old Mr. Parker's cotton land separated Mose's place from the trees of Eagle Nest Break. Pip, her brother Leon, and her mama Evelina did for the Parkers during the week. Mose was Mr. Bobby Lee's overseer at the gin. When she became old enough to walk, The girl went where old Mr. Parker went.